See, the problem with us doing a 2023 wrap up is that I already want to talk about the books I've read in 2024 because I read a batshit wild one, guys.
Oh.
But you can't. It's illegal.
Apparently, serial killer
No.
rom-coms are a thing. Yeah.
Oh, no.
But the serial killers are vigilantes.
I can't believe you're spoiling the end of this episode.
You're spoiling next year's wrap-up.
No, but I already read it, and I'll forget about it by December.
By the end of this episode?
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Midlight Crisis, a real podcast hosted by three grown-up biologists revisiting books from our teens, and it's totally cool. But that's not what we're doing today, actually, because today what we're doing is our year in review for 2023, and I don't care that it's February. We're recording this at the beginning of January, so it still counts.
Yeah. And we couldn't record it in December because what if we read books in December?
And we all did over the holidays. This
Sure
is
did.
why I don't agree with wrapped or in reviews, year in reviews happening in December. It should happen
Mhm.
January 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, despite all of that, I am still one of your hosts. And my name today is A Sophie for the Wild Built
Oh, yeah.
by Becky Chambers.
Uh-huh.
I love that
There you
book.
go.
So good.
Yeah, I tried putting it in some of the other parts of that title, and it just wasn't as good. So,
A Psalm for the Wild Sophie is very funny.
actually, you're right. A Psalm for the Wild Sophie is pretty good.
It makes you sound like a feral little creature who lives in a bog, which
Which
I suppose is
I aspire to.
it's like that's just a fact, I think.
Yeah, true facts. Aspirational.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's who I am. And who are you guys?
Well, I'm one of your other hosts, and today I am Sam, theoretically.
Ooh.
Nice. Nice. Oh, a spicy
Nice.
one.
Uh-huh.
Well, spicy.
At what point do you become actually Sam and not just theoretically Sam? Maybe by the end of the episode,
Great
do
question.
you think?
Potentially. After 10 more hours of sleep, I might become more...
More actualized.
Um, I lost my train of thought.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
There we go.
I find it confusing because Sam theoretically and Sam on the brain, and they're all pretty similar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They're all pretty much the same Sam.
The Sam hypothesis?
Yeah.
I just figured out where you were coming from with it, okay?
You know what? It is her new book. It's fair.
I like all the Sams, so
Uh-huh.
I'm glad you like all the versions of me, because there's a few of them.
I mean, we did all know that Sam was just a Raylo with the serial numbers filed off.
The original. Yeah.
damn.
Wow.
No,
All
it's
right.
completely different. You don't understand.
Oh, sorry, no, I don't. I've only read one of them.
Yeah.
I've only read the first Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, third host?
Yeah, I'm the third host, and today I am Hannah the Ninth.
Wow.
I am mentally ill in space.
Okay, great. Wow, that's a good one.
Thanks.
Are you like the reincarnation of it's gonna be a spoiler.
Somebody,
Something?
perhaps. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's hard to
Something.
say. It's hard to say exactly who I am, you know?
Yeah,
There are so many possibilities.
there are so many possibilities. All I know is that I will have no idea what's going on until you're done.
Yeah, exactly. When am I going to be done anyway? I feel like, is it this year that I'm finished?
Maybe we'll get to that in some of our
Oh.
categories today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the important thing to know is you have to read Hannah twice before you understand it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so today we just wanted to talk about all the books we read last year. So that's what we're gonna do. Start off the year talking about books we liked instead
Yeah.
of reading maximum amount of time.
Yeah, instead of talking about a book we don't like anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought we would start by just like doing a quick top 10
Okay.
for the year. Get that out of the way.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll dive into the books a little bit later on more thorough descriptions.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I guess I'll go first, since that's normally the order we do.
Yeah, that's the typical order of things.
That's typically
for sure.
how we do it. Unlike our order, my books are in no particular order. I did not order these from number 1 to number 10. They are just all in top 10. So my top 10 include, obviously, A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers, The Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi, Ledges and Lattes by Travis Baldree, Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, The Queer Principles of Kit Webb by Kat Sebastian, A Marvelous Light by Freya Marsk, Illuminations by T. Kingfisher, Tress of the Emerald Sea by good old Brando Sando, and then 2 books by KJ Charles, which is Slippery Creatures and Spectred Isle. And that's my top 10.
Ooh, I like those titles of the last 2. That's fun.
Yeah, I normally try not to put 2 by the same author on my list, but I did not have a 10th book on my list by the end of this year. So I went back through my KJ Charles books and picked another series that I liked. So yeah, anyway, what about you guys? What were your top 10s? And let's find out how much overlap we all had.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I think there's only one book that will overlap with all 3, but I will not spoil it right away. But my list is also not in any particular order. It's just how they showed up in my Goodreads list. So that's the order they're in right now. So that is Two Wrongs Make a Right by Chloe Leese, Tress of the Emerald Sea by the one and only Brando Sando, The Foxglove King by Hannah Witten, The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, The Adventures of Amina El-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty, A Love, Theoretically, by Ali Hazelwood, Alone with You in the Ether by Olive Blake, Happy Place by Emily Henry, Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and A Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher to Sophie's, I'm sure, forever delight, and I told you so's. That is all.
Yeah, only forever.
Just forever and ever, amen.
Forever and ever.
Yeah, she's been telling me to read this book for 4 years?
Forever!
I'm like, yeah, okay, you were right. I'm sorry.
I never
Jeez.
say I told you so.
We say it
I know.
for you.
Only when you prompt me by saying it.
We all know you're thinking it.
I'm just happy that you guys read it. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Actually, the one she's been trying to get me to read longer, I think, is actually Sword Heart. So once I finally read that one, then she'll get on me.
Yeah.
Well, spoilers, but you're going to love Sword Heart. So.
After rereading them, I do think I'm more sure that you would like Paladin's Grace. Sword Heart, you might like it a little less, but it's still pretty good.
Okay, no, that's fair.
All right, well, my top 10 for the year are in chronological order of when I read them, because that's how I organize my Goodreads. And like Sophie, I try not to have repeat authors, but I did end up with 2 repeat authors because they were just that good for me. So that sounded weird. I have How to Be a Normal Person by T.J. Klune, If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt, In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune, The Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi, A Pocket Guide to Pigeon Watching by Rosemary Moscow, Tress of the Emerald Sea by this breakout, new indie author, I think, Brando Sando.
Yeah. Yeah, new guy.
Just this new guy on the scene, Brandon Sanderson. Nobody's heard of him before. We've discovered him. Yeah. And then Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree, and then both Paladin's Grace and Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. So
I told you so. No, I'm kidding.
You did tell us so, and you were correct. You're going to be hearing more about those books from me today, I think.
Like a lot.
Like a couple times for sure.
Like a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear about your guys' Goodreads year in review.
Okay.
I want to hear your stats.
Our stats?
I want to hear your stats. Yeah, I read 84 books.
Ooh.
I read 27,047 pages. My longest book was 492 pages, Mercedes Lackey.
Of course.
And my shortest one was 61 by
Nice.
KJ Charles. Yeah. Oh, and my average rating was 4.2.
Oh.
Read a lot of good books, I guess, this year.
Uh-huh. Nice.
What about you guys?
Cool. Okay. Well, I read 82 books, which was apparently 31,769 pages, but a lot of that was also audiobooks, so that page count's not really accurate, but the minutes, yeah, we're there. Anyways,
Uh-huh.
my shortest book was 30 pages, which was the sixth.
What?
It was the
deaths.
sex.
Okay. The book was The 6 Deaths of the Saint by Alex E. Harrow, which is like probably the best short story you'll ever read. So everyone should go read it.
Dang.
And my longest book was Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson at a whopping 1,213
Oh,
pages.
So unnecessary.
God.
The average book length I read in 2023, though, was a reasonable 387 pages.
Dang.
And
Wow.
my average rating was a 4.0.
Damn.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I was a little more obsessive about books this year, I think.
Yeah, you got that NetGalley thing where
I
you had
did.
to read a bunch of books suddenly.
I had to read a bunch of books real fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
NetGalley was fun until I got in over my head and panicked. So I read 120 books this year.
Oh my God.
Holy shit, I didn't realize it was that many.
I didn't. That is so
Yeah.
many.
Okay, to be fair, I counted and something like 25 of them were like novellas, and then there were like 4 or 5 graphic novels, so like take that
They still
with a grain of
count.
salt.
That's
Yeah.
still a lot.
It was a lot.
They
I
still
was
count.
almost 41,000 pages.
Damn.
About half of that, I would guess, was audiobooks. My shortest book was A Thief in the Night by KJ Charles, which was 76 pages. And I hated it, so I was surprised when Sophie suddenly started reading everything this person has ever written, but maybe the other ones are good. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't read A Thief in the Night because it was the only one that had bad reviews on it.
Okay. I think it was, I think that one was like included with Audible, and it was
Oh.
short, so I just listened to it on a whim one day, and I didn't like it.
It's funny because the shortest book I read, which was by KJ Charles, The Ratcatcher's Daughter, I think you would love it, Hannah.
Wow.
So-
Maybe I should
Anyway.
read more of their books. Anyway, my longest book at 748 pages was Brazinger.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
uh-huh.
Was it?
It was. Average book length 340 pages, and my average rating was 4.1. So we all seem to like rate basically around a 4, eh?
Yeah.
I feel like the majority of books I read this year were just a 4, which for me is like pretty good.
Yeah.
And if you ask me if you should read it, I would say yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I feel like I had a lot of 3s, but
Mm.
and more 2s than normal. But yeah, I usually will go for a 4. 4 is, yeah.
Yeah. 4 is kind of my default rating.
Yeah.
I'm usually not going for books that are going to be like a 2 or 3. Like, I'm not actively seeking those kinds of things. So I feel like having an average rating of 4 makes sense because it's like
Mhm.
usually the books I rate 2 or 3 or even 1, they should be books I like, but then they're just flops. So anyways.
Yeah.
Like, I don't actively seek books that are like badly reviewed and read them like some people do.
Do people do that?
Yeah, well, mostly it has to do with like popular books. Like, there's a lot of people out there who read all of the hyped books just to hate them.
Oh,
And I'm like,
yeah.
why
Oh, yeah.
why are you doing this to yourself? Like, you know you're not gonna like Fourth Wing, you know you're not gonna like Sarah J. Maas, like, you know
Yeah.
this. Whereas like I don't do that, you know, like if I hear a book description, I'm like, that's great that people love that. I'm not gonna read that. Like, you know? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah. I feel like it would be more worthwhile to like I don't know, there are people out there who play like the worst rated games on Steam, and then they like talk about the good parts. And I'm like, I feel like
people don't usually do that.
No,
I was like, I feel like I'd be
opposite.
more invested in that for a book reviewer.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I would appreciate if people did that, but it's usually not. Like, it's usually to, like, it almost feels like, what is the saying? Yuck on people's yums is what people say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, listen, reading is so subjective, so it's like, I'm not going to go out of my way to read something that I know I'm going to rate poorly just to rate it poorly. So, like, the fact that I have an average rating of 4 makes sense, because I do try to actively seek books that should be 4 or 5 stars for me. And then if they end up being a flop, well, like, that's usually, like, I think there was maybe 5 out of those 82 that were kind of a flop. So, like, yeah.
Yeah, I also don't take any joy in, like, giving a bad review or, like, saying something mean about a book where the author will see it. I'm not mad at the author for making a bad book. I just don't want to read it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I feel like it's warranted.
I'm still mad about the person who wrote Lifestyles of Gods and Monsters.
Well,
I have a personal vendetta against them.
Oh.
Well, like, some of us just don't finish books we don't like.
Yeah, I don't. I have to know what happens. It's the same reason why I sometimes read books that I don't think I'll like, because they're, like, super hyped on, like, Book Talk or something, and I just want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Is it?
I mean,
well, like, no, I think it's fair to want to see what a hyped book is about. I was more making a point against people who, like, they purposely go after every single one of these, like, books that they clearly know they're not gonna like. Like,
yeah,
I think for you, Hannah, like, I know, like, Fourth Wing is one, for example, and it's like that kind of, it had dragons, so it's not like it was, like, completely out of left field for you to read it, you know?
Yeah. No,
but,
like, I saw that one and bought it before the hype popped off, because I saw like one single review where someone was like, this is like a good romance with dragons, and I was like, perfect, so I bought it instantly. So, like, that one I thought would be in my wheelhouse, and I did like Fourth Wing, and then Iron Flame is what it is.
Yeah, well, that was just yeah.
We don't need to talk about it, but
no. My point is just, there's a lot of people out there who've made their whole personality on hating popular books, and I just like that.
Like, even if they like the book, they're gonna review it badly.
Yeah,
because they won't admit to it.
Yeah, and I'm like, fine, you know what? If this is how you're making your money, whatever. But, like, there's some people who are just kind of mean and, like, malicious about it, and I don't like it. And it's just like, why are you doing this? Like, we read because we like to do it. So why are you going out of your way to rate all these books 1, 2 stars when you know that they're, like, not being marketed towards your style or what you like? Like, it's very backwards to me. It just annoys me. Sorry to be so passionate about it.
How dare you? No, no, of course.
I have a lot of feelings.
Yes. I heard a bunch of them earlier.
I know, I'm sorry.
Speaking of having a lot of feelings, do we want to talk about what our top 3 genres were that we each read this year?
Oh, yeah.
From the My Year in Books website.
Yes, right? But I don't think mine's correct.
That's fine. You can say why you don't think it's correct.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Should we explain what Year in Books is? Because I only learned about it this year.
Yeah, I think it was someone's boyfriend created this algorithm for them that would basically do Spotify Wrapped, but with Goodreads. I think it's just like Python code based. And it was just like, yeah, they did that. And then it just kind of went all over Bookstagram, Book Talk, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cute.
Yeah.
It's just myyearinbooks.com.
Yeah.
And it scrapes something data from your Goodreads profile.
Yeah.
Yeah, it basically just mines the data from Goodreads. You give it your profile URL.
That's the word.
Yeah, and then it pops out your top genres, your top author, your reading vibe, which is kind of fun, and then it just shows you some of your top 5 or your 5-star books. So we could talk about like our genre and author and reading vibe. Because mine
I know Hannah doesn't feel like hers are particularly accurate. Mine is damningly accurate.
Oh.
I reread a lot of books this year because I am writing my thesis. And so my top genres were romance, fantasy, and historical fiction, and that is on brand. That is everything I read this year. All within those three categories. My top author was Mercedes Lackey.
Wow.
Because I read 25 books by Mercedes Lackey
my God.
this year.
Oh my God.
Or
I
last
thought it was
year.
going to be KJ Charles. I didn't
Me too.
I didn't think you reread that many Mercedes Lackey books.
Yeah, I read a lot. And it's because and it's all from the one like world. So I didn't even read her two other like worlds, which are admittedly full of a lot fewer books, probably like 10 each. But yeah, I reread all the Valdemar books, which is 25 books, making me in the top 5% of fans.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
Look at
and
you.
yeah, thank you. I am definitely in the top fans of Mercedes Lackey in the year 2023/4. But, and I guess the last thing, my reading vibes were enchanting.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I feel like if I had to like describe a book that was for Sophie, it's probably some kind of maybe romantic, whimsical fairy tale.
Yeah.
Which is encompassed by the word enchanting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I usually go for whimsical, but maybe I'm gonna pivot and say enchanting from now on.
The enchanting is probably the romance part. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, those were mine. What about you guys?
Well, I'm not too far off from you, because my top genre was also romance.
Yeah.
And my second genre was also fantasy. But number 3 was contemporary, which was definitely all of the contemporary romances, and then the romance is only higher because there's also fantasy romance in there.
Right.
So yeah, same vibes.
Same vibes.
Same vibes.
Yeah.
But my top author was not Mercedes Lackey. I do apologize. It was actually Chloe Leese, who has quickly become one of my favorite romance authors. And as Sophie has done with KJ Charles, I have basically gone and I'm reading her entire catalog of books because they are all fantastic. I was also in her top 5% of readers, which, yay, go me. Anyways, and my reading vibes were adventurous.
Ooh.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think they nailed you also.
Yeah. I think it was pretty accurate, except I think that 5% is a bit of a lie because I feel like Sophie had to have been in the 0.1%.
How dare you? But yeah.
I'm sorry, but who else read 25 Mercedes Lackey books?
In the year of... Yeah, I'm rereading...
In the year of 2023.
Yeah, I read 25 Mercedes Lackey books that had all been published, like, before 1995. Like...
My point.
Yeah. No, it was probably 2005, but still.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine does have a qualifier, Hannah. Mine says in brackets, maybe with a question mark.
Okay, so does mine.
Oh, okay, yeah, so does mine. I didn't see that. I forgot.
Yeah,
that.
So maybe that part is just like a little more dicey, but
I feel like that part is probably just like a flat statement in the code or whatever. Like you're going to be in the top 5% of fans, maybe, for whoever your favorite author is.
Yeah, fair.
That was kind of my guess because I only read 8 books by my favorite author this year.
I wonder who it could be.
Yeah,
speaking
possibly.
of that, let's maybe go to Hannah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my top category was fantasy, of course. My second highest category was romance, which is not that surprising either. It's the third category that I have a qualm with.
Yeah.
Not even a qualm.
Just one.
Somewhat of a qualm, maybe a couple qualms. It says my third most read category was YA with 31 books. I didn't know I read that much YA. I know I read some YA, but even like being generous and counting through my books, the ones I would consider YA, there's only 20 of them, so I'm not sure where the other 11 came from.
Like, Okay, we briefly talked about this before. Sorry to reveal that we talk outside of the podcast, but like you mentioned, and I just need to address it, like you're not counting the shonen.
No, I did count those.
You did count. Okay, because I was like,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure those are definitely YA.
Yeah, I count Shonen Maguire's Wayward Children series, which is one of my favorite of the year, as YA. But they are shelved in adult fantasy. I don't really know why.
Interesting.
But yeah, I would say that's definitely a YA series.
I mean, there's some murder. There's
some murder.
There's quite a bit of murder.
Yeah, like a
gory
fair amount
murder.
Of murder. Yeah. I mean, mostly just in the first and second one, though.
I mean, the Hunger Games are still YA.
Yeah. And the characters are younger than the ones... YA is a nonsense category.
YA has a lot of
YA
murder
is
in it, I would argue.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just leading into Sam and I's conversation from earlier, where romance is also a nonsense category.
Yeah, it is. Sam and I had a whole discussion a few days ago about the difference between a fantasy romance and fantasy romance, where we came to no conclusion, really. Anyway, my adjective to describe my taste in books this year is effervescent, which is very Edward Cullen Tumblr core of me.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, do you agree with it?
I don't know. Maybe.
You read a lot of, like, dark books, though.
Yeah, I read a lot of... I mean, okay. Dark... We should clarify. Dark for us. Like, not dark for people who read, like, dark books.
Like my boyfriend.
Yeah.
That...
I can tell you, those books are fucked up. We don't read that.
No, that man reads a bunch of very strange things.
I mean, that's why I didn't say horror. I just said dark.
That's true.
Yeah.
It was just like, while a lot of my books are fantasy or romance or both, I feel like there's a lot of other business going on in there. Like there's some like sci-fi, there's like a fair amount of nonfiction, some like literary fiction. So maybe it's just confused. And it's like, it's mostly fantasy with some other stuff sprinkled in there. You know what sprinkles are like? They're like effervescence. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, my top author of the year was not Mercedes Lackey, but it was Sophie's other favorite, which is T. Kingfisher. Because after Sophie made us read one of them in September, I read every single book in the world of the White Rat.
Yeah.
And I loved all of them. Spoiler.
Pretty good. Spoilers.
Spoilers for the rest of this episode. They're pretty good.
On that note, we're going to go into some of these books that made up all of these categories and numbers that we just talked about.
I hope this is a good episode.
Yeah, we came up with some categories based entirely on the books we want to talk about. Yeah, so let's start with the hardest one, which is, what was your favorite read of 2023? And I'll start with mine, which was Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I don't know, I feel like this one took the internet by storm.
Sure did.
But it's like just a like the lowest stakes cozy mystery about an orc retiring from like essentially a D&D adventuring party, deciding to open a coffee shop, and the very brief struggles, barely even struggles, difficulties that go into that. And I absolutely loved it. It was so, I don't know, I didn't expect it, and it was just cozy, and I liked it a lot. So that was my favorite read of 2023. What about you guys?
My favorite read of 2023 was not cozy, but it was Alone with You in the Ether by Olive Blake, which it's a contemporary romance, but I wouldn't even say it's a romance because it's kind of just the story of two very broken people finding their way through life together. And I don't know what it is, but just the way that Olive Blake writes, it's just straight to my soul. And this book is just written so beautifully. And I couldn't think of anything else but it for a while. And I read this back in January of 2023. So it's been almost a year since I've read it now. And I still can't stop thinking about it. It's a really good book.
Nice.
It's great. Yeah. Hannah?
Well, my favorite was cozy. My favorite was Tress of the Emerald Sea, by our buddy Brando Sando, which is the first Brandon Sanderson book that I've ever read, actually. And now I want to go read a bunch more of them. And it's just like about this girl who goes to sea in like this crazy fantasy world, and like I can't even remember the plot now that I have to talk about it. I'm having a brain fart.
She's trying to rescue her love.
Yeah, she's trying to rescue
her lover boy.
Her lover. Yeah.
By becoming mushroom sea pirate.
Yeah, I think the fact that it was
exactly
like, yeah, it was like cozy fantasy, but also a pirate boat with weird world building. I was like, this is exactly at the intersection of my interests.
Yeah.
So I loved that book, even though I apparently can't remember what happened to it.
Guess you'll have to reread it.
I am excited to reread it.
Welcome to the world of Brandon Sanderson.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm pretty stoked. I read one other ones of his books this year, but I'm still kind of behind.
Yeah, I've only read one other book by him, but it did not measure up to Tress, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I really liked it, but Tress was just really special, you know?
Yeah, it just, there's something different about Tress.
Elantris is also like often said to be his worst book, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the world building in Elantris, like, genuinely, like, I loved Elantris. It blew my mind. But Tress was
great.
Just like a whole other tier.
But that's like he's grown that much because Elantris was his first book and is often credited as his weakest. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, great. Next, let's talk about our favorite series. Favorite series. So for this one, I put The Last Binding trilogy by Freya Marsk, which starts with The Marvelous Light, which is in my top 10. Yeah, I don't know. I really liked this series because it's the first series. It's got like Harry Potter vibes, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's like magical England, which maybe is very North American of me to be like, wow, there's a series set in England and therefore it's Harry Potter. But I don't know, there's like the magical overseeing group. There's like shenanigans. It gets pretty dark, but I really liked the world building. I liked the, murder mystery vibes. I liked the save the world vibes. And then also it was also romance, which I'm deeply into in all books. There should always be a romantic plot of some kind. They were very horny, which distinguishes them from Harry Potter pretty significantly. But I don't know. I just really like this series because it sort of gave me the Harry Potter vibes when I don't want to reread Harry Potter, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
For reasons.
For reasons that everyone knows. Yeah. So I really liked this series, and the longer it's been since I finished it like the third book was the last book I finished before the new year. And damn, I really liked that series. Like, it wasn't perfect, but it had a magical house that changes rooms and stuff around it. Oh my god, I'm a big fan of those kind of things. Yeah. What about you guys?
Listen, I am a simple woman. You give me vampires, you give me a romantic subplot.
Yeah.
I'm going to love it. And therefore, my favorite series is the Crowns of Nyaxia series, which is the Serpent and Wings of Night series by Carissa Broadbent. I'm sorry, you give me a magical competition, you give me enemies to lovers, you give me vampires, I am a puddle at your feet. It is perfection. That's all.
The Twilight Girl reemerges.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the one that people say is like similar to Sarah J. Maas, right?
Yeah,
or like,
and
if you like Sarah J. Maas, you'll like her kind of thing?
Yes. Yeah, I will say I like Carissa Broadbent's writing better. As I've read more, I've started to realize that SJM's writing kind of annoys me a little bit.
Right?
But, yeah, I mean, I still love her. Like, her books are fundamental to me and, like, are a very core piece of my being, so I'm not gonna do too much. But I like Carissa Broadbent is, like, all around a little bit better of a writer, in my opinion. And the vibes are very similar, but they're also very different. But yeah, like, if you like SJM, like, you're gonna like these books. They're good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But if you don't like SJM, you might also like these books.
That's important.
I want to say that too, because like there's a lot of SJM haters out there. You might still like these. These aren't like as in your face with the broody men. There's one, but like it's not as like annoying. Anyways, I'm gonna stop now.
Every book has to have at least one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been avoiding those books because I do not care for Sarah J. Maas, but maybe I should give them a try at some point. Anyway, my favorite series, if you can guess, this year was The World of the White Rat by T. Kingfisher.
What?
Which is her like fantasy romance series, primarily about a bunch of paladins who get fucked up and have a bunch of guilt that they need to deal with. And I don't know if I've said this on the podcast or not, but it might be my Catholic school upbringing that makes me like really enjoy that vibe. And I'm like, yes, they feel guilty and they have to keep doing penance to relieve themselves of guilt. Like, this is fantastic. I don't know what that says about me, but they're
Probably a lot.
Probably more than I want to admit on a podcast. But I really enjoyed them. They were all excellent, and being caught up is a tragedy.
It is really tragic. So are you saying that the Paladin series is your favorite out of the three?
That's very difficult.
There is only one of the sword books out.
Yeah, so there's the 4 Paladin books, 1 sword book, and 2 clockwork books. But the clockwork books also have a damaged paladin in them, is the thing.
Yeah.
And Circus has the same kind of vibe of like a guy.
Yeah. It's almost like T. Kingfisher.
It's almost the same thing.
Writes one man.
Yeah. I will say I read Paladin's Grace and I was like, wow, I love this. And then I went to read Clockwork Boys, which is chronologically the first one. And I was like, this is exactly the same thing.
That's why you're supposed to read Clockwork Boys first.
Yeah.
Chronologically.
Yeah. And I would recommend reading them in chronological order.
Yeah.
But at first I was like, why is this just the exact same book again? And then it was like, actually, that's fine.
Actually, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, we can keep doing that.
Much like with Allie Hazelwood. I will keep reading the same book every time.
Exactly.
Yes, without question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my favorite series.
Cool.
We'll probably be hearing more about that.
Probably. Who could say? Only us. The next category we have is, it was written as favorite fantasy, but we all sort of agreed that we didn't want to like repeat books in our own categories too much. And so I changed my personal category to favorite SFF, so science fiction or fantasy, because we didn't have a section for science fiction, and I read more science fiction that I liked than I expected this year.
Good idea. I should have done that.
Well,
I'm just going to go change my answers.
Maybe you'll just agree with my answer.
Okay.
My favorite SFF for the year was A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. Much like Sam saying previously, I read this book like day 2 of January last year, so I don't remember like a ton of the details, but I remember the feeling I had, you know?
Yeah.
Like
it
was
feels
just
so good.
The feeling.
It was a book that just felt so good to read.
Yeah.
I remember the main character just biking around on a tea carriage, and they were with a robot, and they had feelings. There were just cozy feelings all over the place, and it was a whimsical little world, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And it's like a novella, so it takes like an hour to read. I love Becky Chambers.
I need to read this now.
Okay, so now imagine that yes, you do. Imagine that you listened to those books while walking through the woods, because that's what I did, and it was so good. Oh my god.
I feel like for some reason, my immediate impression was that if I did that, I would start crying.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why I would, but I think I would. So maybe I won't do that. But
yeah, I mean, I did consider it.
Yeah. So what about you guys in your favorite fantasy / specific fantasy?
Yeah, I didn't read any sci-fi, so mine is definitely a fantasy. And it is The Adventures of Amina El-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. Because, again, I am a simple woman, and you give me a pirate adventure, and I will love the shit out of it. And that's exactly what it was.
I really want to read that. I just haven't.
Same.
It's very good. It's really good. I don't really have much to say. It's been a little while since I've read it too, but it's a lot of fun. Like, it's pirates, guys, in the Indian Ocean, like with like fantasy elements.
Wow.
I think that's what I liked about it too, is it's like kind of our world because it is based in the Indian Ocean in like real places.
Okay.
But there's like this fantasy element with gods and everything. It's very fun. Like 10 out of 10. Everyone should read it. I really need to read The City of Brass now. I've been putting it off for so long.
Maybe I'll make it my birthday month one.
Oh, you should.
You should. I would love you if you did.
I loved City of Brass so much that I'm sure I really gotta read this one.
Yeah, it's good. Up next, Hannah.
What about you, Hannah?
Yeah, so I didn't want to repeat an answer that I used elsewhere, so I have like not necessarily my favorite fantasy, but maybe my favorite fantasy that I didn't mention yet. So I picked Nona the Ninth by Tamsin Muir.
Oh,
It was just like,
Okay. Oh, you both went sci-fi.
yeah.
I liked that one too, yeah.
Yeah, it was equally as confusing, but also somehow not as confusing as the first two.
Yeah.
And Nona is just a delight. I don't know. I don't have much to say about it because it's so complicated.
Yeah, it's like impossible to talk about the third of those books to anybody who hasn't read the first two.
I feel like it's impossible regardless.
Yeah.
The series is extremely difficult to parse.
Yeah, but good. I also enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a jellyfish on the cover. What's not to like?
That's true. And a six-legged dog, which I'm stoked about.
And Nona.
And Nona.
Everybody loves Nona.
I love Nona. And she loves me too.
And she loves you too. Next category.
Yeah.
Next category was favorite romance. I put maybe not my favorite romance. No, I mean we can't get into it. We've already gone so far over. Romance is made up. So my favorite romance that I feel like is a romance novel was The Queer Principles of Kit Webb. Again, I read this in January, but it was like, it's a historical romance. One is like a scoundrel commoner, and the other one is a fancy man. And the fancy man hires the scoundrel to teach him how to murder.
Oh. Well, dang.
That's fun. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like, I really appreciate a book that, you know, it's a historical romance. It's the romances between two men. And even though it's like acknowledged that it was a crime at the time to be gay, you don't ever feel worried about it.
That's nice.
And so like, I appreciate not feeling worried about things in books.
Yeah.
When someone can like create an atmosphere where I'm not worried about like, oh my gosh, they're going to get caught doing something or something's going to go wrong or whatever. I'm just like, I feel like cradled in this book. I know I'm just going to have a good time as they have a scene where they're learning how to fight and oh no, they fall on the floor together. Oops.
Oops.
And now they're making out.
Wow.
Anyway, I really loved the book. It was very fun, written very well. And yeah, that was my favorite romance. It was a good time. What about you guys?
Yeah, to Sophie's point, the romance genre is broken. I don't know. It is what it is. But my favorite romance is, every book I read mostly has a romantic plot in it. But if I'm going off just romance in my brain, which is usually contemporary romance, I chose Happy Place by Emily Henry because I am once again the most generic girly, and like all of these picks are like the Goodreads picks, and I'm sorry, but I just love what I love.
That's allowed.
That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Things are popular for a reason.
Emily Henry just writes crack to me. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
Same crack.
I don't know what she does. Yeah.
Starbucks is good,
But-
Lululemon is comfortable, and Emily Henry is a good author.
It's great.
Uh-huh.
She's really great. Love her. So that's my favorite.
Nice. I'll read one of her
Yeah.
books eventually.
Yeah, same. I have one on hold. Eventually I'll read it.
I'm worried you guys might not like them, but that's fair.
I'll keep it to myself.
Yeah.
Just don't tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar caveats about like what even is the romance genre. So I picked How to Be a Normal Person by TJ Klune, which is the first book I read in 2023.
Oh.
And out of all 120 books that I read last year, no book made me laugh out loud harder or sob more than this book did. Like, it covered the whole spectrum of emotions for me. And it's about a verily forsooth he is verily inept in
Have you also been reading historical romance?
I didn't think so, but perhaps. Verily, Gus is bad at social interaction.
Yeah.
And he develops a crush on an asexual stoner hipster, and he doesn't know what to do about it. So he bothers a saleswoman because he wants to figure out how to buy the internet so he can look things up.
Oh my God.
So he purchases the internet and a laptop so he can Google things like how to be a normal person. Because he doesn't know what to do about this crush that he has.
That's cute.
That's
so heartwarming. And just like so lovely to see both like an asexual character being in a relationship and being totally normal, and having the completely opposite of the allosexual character who just like does not know how to interact with anybody, but everybody loves him because he's just like completely himself all the time, even though he's such an oddball. He's great. He is one of my favorite characters.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway.
Great.
Love that book. Yeah.
Maybe that will come back when we talk about favorite characters.
Yeah, I picked a different one because I didn't want to do repeats in this list.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But Gus, or what the fuck is his name? Gustavo Tiberius?
Up there for sure.
One of my favorites for sure. Yeah.
Nice. But before that, we have two other categories. Let's talk about favorite nonfiction. I don't read a lot of nonfiction. Mine is the one that impacted me the most. Favorite is
kind of a weird.
Yeah. So my favorite nonfiction was You Just Need to Lose Weight and 19 Other Myths About Fat People by Aubrey Gordon. It's her second book. This sort of also reflects that I spent 90% of my year listening to the Maintenance Phase podcast, which is Aubrey Gordon is a host of. I don't know. It's just a lot of stories and myth busting about experiences in her life and her research. Like, this is her full-time job, is this exactly what's in her book. So I think it's one that a lot of people should read, but it's also hurtful to read.
Yeah, I don't want to. It's going to hurt my feelings in a way I don't want.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it because it made me think a lot and reconfigure a lot of my thinking. So, yeah, that was my nonfiction book. What about you guys?
I decided not to pick one that hurt me because I also read a few that hurt me. But they're very informative and like good reads, but like, no. I chose a much more peaceful listening of the Gathering Moss by Robin Wall Kimmerer. To be honest, I don't remember a lot about this, but these books are very soothing to listen to. The first one is Braiding Sweetgrass, and they're just like beautiful books about indigenous nature knowledge and everything, and I think everyone should read them. And like I said, listening to them is like a warm hug. They're just like real nice.
She's really good at reading her own books.
Yeah, she is.
So, it sounds like she's just kind of telling you a story, and it's really nice.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just like peaceful, you know? You're like listening, you're mad at your code, and you're just listening to her talk about this beautiful thing, and you're like, nice. Moss.
Nice.
I love it.
Yeah.
Moss. Yeah.
I do remember actually learning some things about moss at the time. Couldn't tell you what they were now, but I do remember texting I remember texting my boyfriend being like, "Did you know this about moss?" But I don't remember what it is right now.
That is exactly my experience.
Yeah.
I remember the part of Zelda I was playing while listening to it, but I don't remember what I learned.
Yeah, right?
Okay, well, this category was my suggestion, which is ironic because I then realized that even though I read a bunch of nonfiction, I didn't really have any that stood out. So I picked I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy, which was like a viral memoir
Yeah.
about why child stars shouldn't be a thing, basically.
Oof.
I read a decent number of like celebrity memoirs this year, and my takeaway from all of them is we should stop letting children be famous in any capacity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Movies should just not have children in them anymore. That's just it.
Yeah. No actors, no royalty, no public facing of any kind. Just
none.
let them develop on their own time without external pressures from the entire world.
Yeah. No influencer children.
Absolutely not. Get absolutely out of here with
Get
that.
absolutely out of here. Neat. I'll read that one eventually. I'm intrigued by the viralness.
Yeah. It's just like a bonkers. It's pretty rough. And it's like a bonkers situation of just how much of an influence social pressure and narcissistic parents can have on children.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
Just some nice light reading.
Yeah, just like a casual fun time.
A casual fun time. Speaking of a casual fun time, let's do the next category, which is favorite author. So I know that I read all of Mercedes Lackey this year, and therefore Mercedes Lackey should be my favorite author because she is. But I have a moral stand that I can't put rereads or sequels in lists like this. Because like I didn't first read it this year. So anyway, that's a long way to say, just sort of by number, my favorite author this year was KJ Charles.
Wow.
Because I started reading her books.
That's shocking.
And then I read all of them in like 4 weeks.
Oh my god.
They were good. I don't know. They're mostly historical romance. They are all queer, except for like 1 or 2. And they are mostly gay, but there are like, I think 4 or 5 sapphic ones. And yeah, they're just good. I mean, I had 2 of her books on my top 10. So like one of them was a like not golden age, like the roaring 20s mystery solving shenanigans. And the other one was like fantasy England. There's magic in the ancient well sort of thing. Like, I don't know. They're just kind of hitting all of the things I enjoy. There was one where a guy had magic crow tattoos. How fun is that?
I love
that is very
crows.
new.
That's very me. Yeah, KJ Charles was... I didn't even mention the ones that made her viral this year. Like, I think...
Which ones were those?
Those were The Secret Lives of Country Gentlemen.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I have heard of
I have
those.
that on my TBR, yeah.
Yes. The second one came out this year, and so that series sort of brought KJ Charles into the more popular circles.
Yeah, okay.
And they were pretty good. It was a similar genre to The Queer Principles of Kit Webb, and I just liked that one more in that specific subset of historical fantasy. Nope, historical fiction scenarios. So that's why those ones weren't like top of my list, but yeah, the other ones were pretty good. Anyway, I talked a lot. Who's your guys' favorite author this year?
I decided to just go with like favorite new author of 2023. I think we all know who my favorite author is, though that might be changing.
Ooh.
But I have a lot of favorites. Like, I have a lot of auto-buy authors. Yeah. It's a problem for my physical TBR. But, yeah, I'm going to repeat this just because she came up earlier, but Chloe Leese is my new favorite author. This woman just writes romance, like, really, really well. And her disability rep in each book is just out of this world. Like, each character has, like, each book has some sort of different representation in it, whether it's a physical disability, a mental disability. Like, there's just so much good representation done well, and seeing characters with these disabilities have these romance stories is just like really refreshing to read in the year of 2023. So yeah, I'm a big Chloe Leese advocate. I'm a big fan of all her books, and it's just not good. Luckily I've been listening to most of them through audio from the library, but she is very much like an instant buy read author for me now. Like 10 out of 10. Fantastic.
Wow. That is a problem.
Yeah. It is.
My favorite new author this year was T. Kingfisher, obviously.
What?
Yeah, we can move on.
We're not going to move on very hard because the next category is favorite character. And I cheated because I reread all of T. Kingfisher this year, and I'm saying my favorite character is Zale.
I love Zale. They're so good.
Zale is my favorite character from T. Kingfisher.
I don't know who that is.
Oh my god, they're so good.
They are a side character
Yeah.
in several books. They are a lawyer, and they're just the best. They're so funny.
Yeah,
I want them
they're
to
so
have
good.
their own book at some point.
Oh my god, me too.
They're not even a main character. They're a side character.
No.
They were my favorite character out of all the books I read this year. And I'm standing by it. What about you guys?
I struggled with this one. I don't know. There was not really like any character that like stood out to me that I was like, oh my god, this is like my new Aelin Galathinius kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So for me though, I chose Emily Wilde from Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett, mostly because she was an academic studying fairies, and I was like, this is fun. And
fun.
She was fun, and she didn't take no shit from no man, and you know what? I appreciate that. The book as itself wasn't like one of my favorites, just because it was a little bit too slow for me and a little bit too whimsical at times, but the character itself was great. So yeah, I'll say that
Too
one.
whimsical. Dang.
Too whimsical, huh? Slow and whimsical?
I think you guys,
Sounds like a Sophie book.
You know what I mean? When there's
Yeah,
just,
no.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, because you like it, so you don't notice it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just when it gets a little bit too flowery and there's like too much description and there's too much whimsy, I'm just like, okay, come on. So this one had a little
Sign me
bit
the
of
fuck up.
that. I know. Trust me, I know. That's why I think you might like this one.
Great.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe.
But also mostly for like the academia aspect of this, as someone who has been through academia, as someone who's currently going through academia, Sophie, you might there's just like a little added thing to it. Like you're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Anyways, I'm done. Anna?
Great.
Yeah. I'm going to say General Ouyang from He Who Drowned the World, and I guess the first one, She Who Became the Sun, duology by Shelley Parker Chan. And he's just like one of the most complex and interesting characters I've ever read, mostly because he is so angry at the whole world and like refuses to let anything be done about it. So definitely not whimsical or like charming like Emily Wilde or Zale. He has like this extremely, what's the word I want to use? Like extremely solid casing around himself almost. And he has like this kind of cult of power around him in the universe that both like does align and doesn't with how he sees himself. And a huge theme in this duology is gender. I think the author themselves is non-binary, so like all of the main characters have like kind of deep thoughts and feelings about their gender and their presentation and the way that the world perceives their gender, so that's very interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, he's definitely not a fun, happy character. He is an extremely angry, unhappy character. But just like really, really interesting. I've never read another character like that.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we? The next category?
Yes.
The next category is favorite 2023 release. This one was easy for me because I think I read like 2 books that came out in 2023. And thankfully one of those was Tress of the Emerald Sea. So that one was my favorite 2023 release, and we've already talked about it, so I'm gonna just leave it there. But it was really good, as we've said. So what about you guys?
See, I had the opposite problem in that 8 out of 10 of my books were released in 2023, and I don't know how I did that, but I did. So we're gonna throw a wild card out here. Instead of talking about one of those again, I'm gonna talk about the one book that I could not stop fucking thinking about and had to fucking read it in 2 days because it had me in its grips, and that is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros.
Oh, we couldn't avoid it longer.
I'm so proud of you for saying that.
Okay, listen.
Tell us all about it, Sam.
Listen.
Yeah.
I, again, am a simple woman.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that book was written in the exact way that, like, It took me to get about 20-25% in, but once I hit 25%, I could not stop thinking about this goddamn book. I literally had it on my Kindle. I had to be reading it. Like, I was up until like midnight or something, which is late for me. I go to bed at like 10 these days. Yeah. Like, I could not put this goddamn book down. Is it a great book? No.
Yeah.
But it's addicting.
But it's compelling. Yeah.
It's compelling.
The middle of that book was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't read it. But not only did it have its hooks in you, but the hooks had like the backward facing barbs on it.
Yeah.
So you couldn't get off of it if you wanted to.
No. Like, it's embarrassing. I understand why people love it so much. And Hannah and I have talked about it a lot. And like, it's not by any means a groundbreaking book. But it's just like the way it's written. And like, I understand, from the romance perspective, especially why it's so popular and it's gone the way it is. I've like personally read better, but it is very compelling and it is very addicting. And like, there's no denying that. Hate it or love it, what you can. That book is a phenomenon and it's done wonders for a reason. So.
Yeah. Truly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
There we go.
It made it onto our list.
It made it in. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Fourth Wing.
Congrats to Fourth Wing, winner of so many things, including this.
Yeah. I know it's not yours, though, Hannah.
No, well, I also did like it. I will admit that. Yeah, in an effort not to be repetitive, I decided to say that my favorite 2023 release was the tandem The Sun and the Star and The Chalice of the Gods by Rick Riordan and, in the first case, Mark Oshiro, just because I am a Percy Jackson kid and I am heavily influenced by nostalgia.
That makes
and it was
sense.
just like, I was just so happy, particularly with The Chalice of the Gods, to see Percy again. Just, I love that boy. He's a good egg.
He's a good egg.
I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of it. So yeah, that just, I don't think they were the best books released this year, but I was just happy to see them.
That's good.
Yeah.
I haven't read The Chalice of the Gods yet, so I can't say anything about it, but
it's like the same vein. It's just like, Percy has to go on a quest. Ridiculous shit happens. I'll
read it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, that's what I'm here for. Yeah.
Incredible. All right, next category is favorite new release in a series. I don't know if mine counts, because I don't know that it's technically a series. But I picked Illuminations by T. Kingfisher, because technically, I think it's kind of in the same series as A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking.
Okay.
I don't think they're technically a series, but they belong together in some sort of category. Anyway.
What's that mean?
They have like the same cover art, you know?
They do, yeah.
Yeah, and so I didn't read any other new release in a series this year, so Illuminations is like, I guess it's a middle grade book, kind of like the other one, but the character is like the kid in a family of magical painters, and the paintings all very specific components of a painting repeated like the exact same way basically will cause a magical effect, like keep the cats out of the pantry, or nope, not cats, keep the mice out of the pantry.
I feel like also cats.
Yeah, keep things clean, keep the milk from spoiling, that sort of thing.
That's cool.
And it's about a kid in the family who can't really do it.
Aww.
And what needs to happen when everything goes wrong.
Wow.
Yep. So it's fun. It's about a family kind of banding together, which is great.
Say less. I'm ready.
I really liked it. So yeah, that was my new release in a series, kind of. What about you guys?
I again struggled with this one because even though my goal was to try to like finish more series that I started, a lot of those I didn't, and then they weren't new releases if they were. So I've chosen Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo because that came out this year, and it was in the Alex Stern series, which is the follow-up to Ninth House, and it was pretty good. I mean, I'm not as in love with this series as I was like Six of Crows, but it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, fun covers.
Yeah, they do.
Fun is
so.
definitely a word for that cover. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one with the dead fetal rabbit on it, for sure.
Yeah, I wish I didn't have the red one, though. I wish I had the white one, but it is what
I
it
like
is.
the red one.
That's fair.
Yeah. My favorite new release in a series was Lost in the Moment and Found by Seanan McGuire. It's book 8 in the Wayward Children series that we talked about a bit earlier. And it's about a little girl who finds a door to the shop where the lost things go. And it's just things that get lost. They end up there. And people who know the way there can come and buy things. And she realizes, I mean, it's a Wayward Children book, so she slowly realizes that something a little dark is happening.
What?
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of my favorites in that series. I liked it.
Nice.
Yeah. And I mean, you gotta love novellas.
Yeah, novellas are great.
Yeah.
So good.
Big
Yeah.
fan.
Are.
Yeah.
Great. Well, the last of our favorites categories is the biggest surprise. For me, it's just a surprise to me personally, was the Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi. I don't know that this is entirely true, but I had sort of assumed John Scalzi was an author I would not like.
Uh-huh.
And that's on me, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I loved the Kaiju Preservation Society.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's about a guy who, like, at the beginning of COVID essentially gets laid off and is down on his luck, and then he gets a job with the Kaiju Preservation Society, which is, like it sounds, going to the other dimension where all the kaiju live. And it's fun. It's so fun. I had a great time with it.
And
yeah.
So that one was
the most
mine.
relevant book to this podcast.
Honestly, yeah.
It was.
Yeah. I'm going to piggyback
Prove it.
on Sophie's because that was my answer as well.
Oh, okay.
I was not expecting
not mine.
for it to be one of my like top 5 books of the year, but it absolutely was.
But there it was.
Yep. It's so good.
I read it right after, like, literally it was the next book, like a day later, that I read after Tress of the Emerald Sea, and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You're doing amazing.
I read them pretty close together too. I was like, damn, these are so good.
And they were book club books. We did a great job.
We did a great job. I think 3 book club books were in my top 10 this year. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, me too, I guess.
Yeah.
I had
3, yeah.
2.
Yeah. So go us.
That's fair.
None of them were my choices.
Were they all Sam's then? They must
I think
be.
they were all Sam's. No, well, one was yours.
Oh,
2 of Sam's and 1 of Sophie's for me.
I did A Marvelous Light, didn't I?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that one was my idea, I think.
Yeah.
I think it might have been both for ideas. Anyway,
That's true.
Sam, tell us your biggest surprise first.
Yeah, I enjoyed Kaiju, but I am not as passionate about it as you guys are. But my biggest surprise was actually A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed, which we all read, like Wolf and the Huntsman or whatever, her first book, and hated it a lot. I will always give an author 2 chances, and I'm glad I did. It's quite good.
I won't.
But Hannah, don't read it. It's about Faye. Don't read it. It won't be a surprise for Hannah. Sophie, you might like it. It's kind of fucked up though. Both of you just don't read it. Don't bother.
Maybe just don't.
I'll skip that
don't.
one.
But I
That's
liked
fair.
it.
That's great. I'm glad you liked it,
Yeah.
especially after the first one
Yeah.
of hers.
Yeah, the audiobook was really good too. The narrator did a really good job on it. So
nice.
Yeah,
That helps.
It was, it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to do a speed round of a couple categories. Unfortunately, none of my books are repeats of what I've said before, so everyone's just going to have to look them up after since I'm not describing them. But the first category of our speed round is favorite trope, I guess, / genre. We got into an argument about this, of 2023. And mine is specifically the cozy mystery murder in the library genre / trope. I guess it's not a trope, but yeah. What's yours, Sam?
Yeah, I will say since that argument, I've changed my tune. Anyways, but I was mostly the one fighting it because I was like, but now that I'm having a vendetta against romantasy, I'm on board with anyways.
Yeah,
Fine. My
fair.
favorite trope remains enemies to lovers. That's all.
Yeah, we're all shocked. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's still there. It's still my favorite. I'm sorry. I am so
That's
predictable.
allowed.
Hannah.
Well, I'm embarrassed now because I said romantasy ? Because of T. Kingfisher. I've never been a romantasy girly before, but maybe I am. I don't know.
We can't argue about how Sam and I don't think T. Kingfisher is a romantasy, but
It's not?
No,
we don't
no,
have
but
time for this.
I will say this. I just will say this. I am against romantasy as a genre, and I do believe it is a trope, and therefore it is accurate in this category. That is all by.
Okay. There you go. Perfect.
Okay.
Next speed round that we're going so fast.
So speedy.
We're so fast. Is favorite cover art. And my favorite cover art was The Watchmaker of Filigree Street by Natasha Pulley.
Yay.
Yay. Sam, go.
That's good art. Mine was The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy by Megan Bannon.
Ooh.
Woo, go, Hannah.
Also
Hell
good.
yeah.
Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee.
Nice. All
Different
great
vibe,
choices.
but
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, next. Favorite audiobook. I picked Gathering Moss by Robin Wall Kimmerer.
Nice. I picked, guess what? Kaiju Preservation Society.
Oh
Woo!
my god.
Fun. Hannah.
We're switching all over the place.
Wow. The World We Make by N.K. Jemisin, just because the effects
Ooh.
were so good.
Oh, dang. They would be.
They were so good.
Damn. Okay, next one is favorite reread. I had so many to choose from.
Wow.
I
Which one did you
picked
pick?
The Oathbound by Mercedes Lackey. My favorite trilogy.
Wow.
Yep. Sam.
Mine was Mistborn by the man, the legend, Brando Sando.
Brando Sando.
Brando Sando, our guy.
Hannah.
Mine was The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, one of my perennial favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I've heard it's good.
I don't think you would like it because you're
probably
not
wouldn't.
13.
No. Speaking of things I wouldn't like, next speed round is least fave. Look, just preamble. I don't finish books I don't like, so I didn't include any of those. But
Uh-huh.
the one that I finished was Assistant to the Villain by Hannah
Oh.
Nicole Mehrer, and I will be reading the next one, but it's still my least
I was
favorite.
gonna say.
Of the ones I finished
Suspicious.
this year.
No, that's fair. That's a fair caveat.
There had to be one, and it was this one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Sam,
Okay,
what about
okay.
you?
My least favorite was Cursed by Marissa Meyer. Just a disappointment. Anyways, Hannah.
My least favorite was Heir to Thorn and Flame by Ben Alderson. I do finish books I hate, and I hated every second of it.
That's so funny to me. I just don't finish them.
But I have to know what happens.
Do you?
You don't.
Apparently.
I'm between both of you.
You can read the reviews or the summary.
No, I gotta know.
Okay, that's
I'm
fair.
also a hater, though. Like, I will read things.
Oh,
I'm
I
so
don't have the time.
no one does.
No, me neither.
Speaking of being a hater, most disappointing. Like, this was still a pretty good book, but Portrait of a Scotsman by Evie Dunmore, I have to qualify this because it was a good book, but it has like pairing trope that I normally love in historical romance, and they did it badly. So they did
Ooh.
sorry, they did it in a responsible feminist way, which makes the
Oh,
trope
yay?
not as good. For this is embarrassing.
Oh. All right, I'm gonna put Sophie out of her misery, and I'm gonna go in with my most disappointing, which was The Atlas Paradox by Olive Blake, because this book did not need to exist. That is all. Hannah.
I'm gonna put myself on blast. Mine was Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was not that, and it sucked.
Yeah,
That's
fair.
Yeah.
Wow, what a good time. Switching back to being positive again.
Yeah, compliment sandwich.
Yeah, we've ended the speed round, and now let's talk about our most anticipated release for 2024. I don't pay attention to what books are coming out
Yeah, me neither.
purposefully so that I get surprised when it's like, oh my god, it came out 3 days ago. But the one I do hope is coming out this year and want to come out this year the most is Electo the Ninth,
Ooh.
the next in the Gideon the Ninth series by Tamsin Muir. That's the one I'm most excited about. I want more. I want more.
More, please.
I don't have anything to say about it. As I said, the series is so complicated.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what anything is that's going on. So
Literally no idea what's going
Literally
on at
any
all
of
in that
it.
series, but
Yeah.
it's really good somehow.
would be cool, probably. What about you, Sam?
So I do know basically every new release coming out almost because I stalk it. Mostly because I have a book buying problem and books are cheaper on release week because Indigo puts them on sale. So that is my reasoning. Anyways, to nobody's shock, my most anticipated book comes out in 18 days. And it is The House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas.
Oh, yeah.
Shocking.
I'm happy for you.
Mm-hmm. So me and the rest of the internet will be consuming that fairly, I assume, on January 30th.
Is this the one you have to buy 7 copies
Yeah,
of?
it is, right?
Yeah. I'm only buying one because it's bullshit. And I'm not a bonus chapter person. I don't give 2 fucks. But it's capitalism at its finest, where each exclusive edition of this book has a different bonus scene, so that the people that are obsessive go out and buy 7 copies of this $43.99 Canadian book.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it and got it for $25 because I refuse to pay $43. I think it's $43 or $45, but it's like stupid.
Absurd.
Like,
that's ridiculous.
Making me so mad.
Do they have different covers?
No, it's just a different bonus chapter with different characters.
Oh.
No,
I hate that.
It's all the same
I
cover.
thought they had different covers. What the hell?
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm mad about that.
And then
it's just the chapters.
In 8 months, you can buy the special, just the bonus chapters book.
No, they've said they're not doing that. No, they've literally said they're not doing that, and they're not releasing any of them online. Yeah, it's like, this is like the thing. I can understand why people are so hateful towards Sarah J. Maas because she's associated with capitalism at its finest. I get it.
Yeah, this one's
at the same
wild.
point, I'm like,
this one's a lot.
It is a lot, but it's like, it's Bloomsbury. I'm sure she has something to say about it. Yeah. And I'm like, it is what it is. This is a capitalistic society. Take advantage of it. Whatever. You're going to do that. We're all crooks. Like, whatever.
In 4 days, the bonus chapters are going to be on the internet somewhere. 4 minutes.
Well, that's it. People are going to put them up. The first 3 chapters of this book have already been leaked because it's been released in Brazil, apparently. So, there's... Yeah, anyways. Anyway, I'm very heated about all this. I don't want to go into it, but it is my most anticipated release because it is the crossover of the century for book readers of the Sarah J. Maas universe.
For book readers of Sarah J. Maas.
I know. I had to keep going with it because I was like, I had to keep going with the prefaces because I was like, wait, no. So my brain was, anyways, it's fine.
No.
Just got to keep going till it's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Well... What about you, Hannah?
Yeah, let's see if anybody is surprised by this. Mine is Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune, which is going to be the sequel to The House in the Cerulean Sea.
Shocking!
I'm pretty excited. It's not coming out till September.
3 shocking reveals.
Yeah, right? Wow, so surprising. Guys, I think we might be a little predictable.
All good
Maybe
choices,
a little bit.
I'm sure. Yeah. All right, our last category is our reading goals for 2024. Mine are, I didn't really make new goals. Mine are to finish the 5 books that I have mostly finished. I have 5 physical books in my possession that I have mostly finished and I just haven't finished them. So that's my main goal. And then my second goal is to continue to just be really loosey-goosey about any book. I'm just going to keep reading whatever the hell I feel like.
Yeah.
Without feeling like I have to read any particular book, you know?
That's great.
Yeah, that's my vibe. What about you guys?
Honestly, I had goals and I'm just like, I will never keep to them. It's just impossible. I don't know. I have 75 books as my goal. I'd like to finish a lot of the series that I've started. I need to read the Fairy Loot books I've bought because they're expensive and I'm behind.
Mm-hmm.
I need to read all the books I've bought. My Kindle is out of control. My Audible is out of control. I just need to read.
Yeah. That's a good reading goal. Just read.
Yeah. Just read.
Yeah, that's pretty in line with my main one, which is that I particularly, I think in 2020 and 2021, but continuing, have way too many books that I've bought and haven't read yet. So as of recording, I have 124 books that I own but haven't read, which is completely unhinged, and nobody should be in that situation.
Don't say that. You'll make Sam feel bad.
Yeah.
It's unhinged. I want to get it to less than 100 by the end of the year. That's my goal, which means I have to try to read at least 2 physical books per month. So we'll see how I do on that.
I like that we're unhinged together.
Yeah. I think it's just that I'm stressed about the number of books I own that I haven't read. Because, like, I don't have space on my shelves for any more books. And if I have a book I want to read, there's nowhere to put it. So I'm like, I should get rid of some books, but like I need to read them before I get rid of them so I know if I like them and want to have a copy. So yeah, I'm mentally ill in space. I said that off the top. I think it's
yeah.
continuous.
I suggested getting rid of the ones you don't want to read anymore, and you said no.
I can't.
So I tried to help as much as I could, but I have my hand up because I have a question.
Okay.
You can't see it. My question is, if you continue to buy books this year, are you only counting less than 100 of the books that you had right now?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh.
Because like I want to bring the total number down.
Damn, that's really unfair.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'll just buy fewer books this year. I did order one on Amazon.
That sounds kind of crazy.
Yesterday.
You did just get a Costco membership.
I did just get a Costco membership.
You have access to cheap books.
Yeah, but they didn't have books I wanted, which was great. In my defense, I ordered a nonfiction book that is relevant to my job. So
sure,
it still counts as a number.
121 though.
125. Yep. I'm also thinking about doing what I've been calling in my head Imperial March.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my unread books are Star Wars novels, and I like them. And I just like haven't read a bunch of them. So I want to just try to read a bunch of Star Wars books in March.
You know what? I have a bunch of books that are sci-fi that I haven't read. I would join you in an Imperial March if I just read a bunch of my unread sci-fi books.
I think you should do that.
Okay, I'll do that.
Wow, how fun. Yeah. And Sam is going to read at least one of the Star Wars books with me. So Sam will join in too. Right, Sam?
Yeah.
You've been voluntold for this activity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a big fan of all of our books and our goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I didn't really have a goal.
I feel like your goal of just reading a bunch of your books is a good one.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's the same as mine. I think that's a good one.
Books goal of the year is books.
Yeah. Reading goal is yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, real quick, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do what we're currently reading.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, I don't have a good answer for this.
I read Paladin's Faith, the new T. Kingfisher, and it was good. Otherwise I'm just reading more historical romance. That's the only one I want to talk about. The end.
I will just speed round it, but I'm currently reading 3 books. Belladonna by Adeline Grace, The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England by Brandon Sanderson, and With You Forever by Chloe Leese.
I'm listening to House of Roots and Ruin by Aaron A. Craig, and I have been trying to read some more of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke, which I started reading in 2021. It's just very dense and over 800 pages. And an offline friend and I are going to be buddy reading A Wizard's Guide for Defensive Baking. Defensive Baking? 2?
Yep,
4?
2.
T. Kingfisher. It's a T. Kingfisher
book.
So I'm starting that this weekend, and I just wanted to mention it because I'm excited to read more T. Kingfisher.
It's good.
Wow. And in January, we read Shark Heart by Emily Habeck. I have finished that one as of the time of this recording, and I loved it. It already went on my potential top 10 for 2024.
Dang.
Yeah, it is super weird, and it hurt my heart a little bit, which is what I like. And also there was biology in it. So what more can you ask for? I guess you could ask for the book we're reading in February, which is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming.
Yeah.
Just taking a hard turn.
Oh my God. I'm so excited.
I'm very excited. It's going to be great. I won't be able to tell anybody about it.
I told you guys I read Barbarian Aliens, so.
That's true. And then Sam read them, right?
I don't know. I'm pretty open about what I read.
No, the other way around.
Oh, the other way around.
No, I read it I read it first.
You read it first.
Yep, and insisted I had to read it.
Yeah. I remember why now.
And you were right.
I know. I like when I'm right.
You can say I told you so, but
no.
I think the book I'm most embarrassed about having read is Icebreaker, and I already mentioned that I read that, so.
Wow.
Here we are. Okay. If you liked this somewhat unconventional episode of Midlight Crisis, consider rating and reviewing us on Spotify or your podcatcher of choice. You can talk to us and find fun-related content on social media. We are at Midlight Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Tumblr, and Blue Sky. And all chapters of the show thus far are available on our website, midlightpod.podbean.com, and on YouTube. And that's it.
And that's it. That we don't have any jokes. No jokes.
No jokes. We need to go read up some books, I think.
We don't have time in 2024. Hannah's already gone to read a physical book. Sam is already reading 3 books at the same time.
Sophie's just vibing because
I'm just
you
vibing.
have a thesis.
Yeah.
You're not reading at all. You're writing.
I'm reading my thesis, unfortunately.